Queen's birthday weekend is here. Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us. Well, typical for this time of the year that we have something coming in for a long weekend to make it not quite so perfectly settled. There are a large number of regions that are mostly dry, but there are some areas, some of our more populated places on holidays, like the Upper North Island and the Upper South Island, that both have some chances of heavy rain amongst all the lighter showers and drizzle patches. This developing system and this increasing subtropical northerly flow will lift up temperatures not just this weekend but across next week in many places as well, with heavy rain at times moving into the west coast, Nelson, Northland as well. So let's take a look at Saturday. There is the system building up. Now it is very patchy. The areas that are sort of more concerning are these brighter spots. That's where the rain clouds sort of gather together and you're more likely to get a big downpour. This is all feeding in from the subtropics, so it's going to be pretty mild coming down across the country. And look at the northerly flow on Saturday. Pretty windy. There'll be gusts through the Southern Alps, potentially over gale force in exposed areas, maybe even getting up to 100 k's an hour. And the rain on the west coast gets heavier and then it starts to move up the west coast and it moves in towards Nelson and Northland, who both kind of get it at about the same time. A lot of people find that a little bit confusing sometimes, but when you actually see a setup like this, you can see how both Northland and Nelson are kind of right out to the west. So when something comes straight down from the north, it hits Northland, Nelson, and the west coast first of all. So this isn't too surprising. Here is Sunday's setup. Now you can see these patchy blobs. That's where the rain clouds are gathering up, and those are the areas that can produce much higher rainfall totals and a very localized flood risk. Nothing like the Canterbury floods we saw this week. This is a very different setup, but it still has that sort of atmospheric river where all the moisture is gathering up in one fine line, and that is it there. So that's why Northland and Nelson both have those heavy rain risks in localized areas overnight Saturday and then into Sunday. As we get into the Sunday map, that's what it looks like. So you see what I mean? It's very broken up, very messy. Many parts of the country are dry, like East Coast, eastern and southern parts of the South Island, you're all dry. And the pale blue only means drizzle patches and a few showers. So not everyone has this. It's just these very isolated spots that could get a couple of heavy downpours. Then we get to Queen's birthday Monday. The low gets bigger up here in the north. That pushes up the wind speeds, so they'll be becoming blustery on Monday in some parts of the north. The rain, it's still very patchy. This is not a big widespread heavy rain event like we saw in Canterbury. It's nothing like that. But there are these pockets where the sort of subtropical moisture coming down from way up, towards Fiji is sort of consolidating, that's the wrong word to use, but getting together in the New Zealand area with these downpours, and then drizzle patches and dry spells all around it. Tuesday next week, that low is still there. The winds are still pretty strong. There could be 100 kilometre an hour gusts around Great Barrier Island and maybe even sort of the very eastern side of Northland. Still yet to really lock that in, but you sort of get the idea that it's unsettled. A few showers come down to Dry Hawke's Bay. That'll be welcome. Over in Australia, you've got a big cold southerly, a wintry southerly for Adelaide, Melbourne, Hobart, and a bit later on it'll get into Sydney as well. And our final map for Wednesday, finally, things are calming down in New Zealand well after the long weekend has finished. The south of the South Island is one of the best places to be over the next week, and you've got some frost potential around the sort of start of next week. Monday, Tuesday, and here on Wednesday morning might be some frost around. And look at Australia, sort of bookended by a low pressure system in Sydney with a very cold southerly flow right up to Brisbane, and on the other side another low with potentially severe gales coming in for Perth. So there's a lot going on. It is winter, well, on the meteorological calendar anyway. That is all from me. Long weekend in New Zealand. I'll be back again on Tuesday. Have a great, safe weekend. We'll see you then.